Alhamdulillah, as-salatu was-salamu ala rasulihil kareem. Amma ba'd, fa'awzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir wa tammim bil khair wa bika nasta'inu ya fatahu ya fatahu ya fatahu. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Amin. Allahumma aftah alayna hikmataka wa anshur alayna rahmataka ya zal jalali wal ikram. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope and pray that you all are doing good. In today's session, lesson 72, we would continue to study Muda'af words, and in this lesson 72, we are going to cover Muda'af words in Sulasi Mujarrad. Sulasi Mujarrad, we call it family 1, and under family 1 we have subfamilies, Bab Nasara, Bab Daraba, Fataha, and 3 more. So we are learning Muda'af words in family 1. Just like we did with Mazid Fihi, in family 1, we are also going to do our study of Muda'af words in 2 steps. First, we are going to study Muda'af words in Sulasi Mujarrad with respect to Sarf Saghir. Okay, Sarf Saghir, you know it very well, the Sarf Saghir pattern. And then, inshallah, we'll cover Sarf Kabir also. So, as far as Sarf Saghir is concerned, when Muda'af words come through family 1, there are 4 basic rules or basic principles. First 2 rules are the same as you learn in Mazid Fihi family. So the first rule is that in Muda'af words, the second and third root letters are same. So the first rule is that the second and third root letters fuse, and a shadda is used to represent the fusion. So in most of the word form, in most of the sigat, there is fusion of second and third letters, the letter which repeats itself in Muda'af words. So most of the time, in most word form, you will see fusion or in the form of ashada. And then the second rule is the same that you learned in Mazid Fihi family also, that there are 3 versions of commanding and forbidding, Amr and Nahi. And these 3 versions are in Anta form. Remember, in Anta form, because in Anta form, the Fe'l Mudare, present tense, Maloom, in Anta form has Dhamma on it. So regular form. And when you make it Majzoom, then you have 3 different versions. One version is with Fatah, first version takes a fatha and retains the shadda. The second takes a kasra and retains the shadda. The third one follows the pattern of normal amr and nahi, in which 2 letters separate. Okay, and you learned it in Mazid Fihi families also in previous lessons. Now the third rule is about every past tense. Okay, every past tense looks the same regardless of the clan. So whether the Muda'af word is coming from Nasara family or Fataha family or Samia or Daraba family, it follows the same pattern as Falla. Nasara, when in Nasara family, in past tense we have Nasara, right? And in Daraba family, in past tense we have Daraba, right? Which is on the pattern of fa'ala. But because in Muda'af words, the ain and lam letter, the second and third letter are the same, so the pattern becomes falla. And even in Samia family, it remains the same. And you will see when we are going to do the examples soon. Okay, and then the fourth rule. Coming back to the fourth rule is about the present tense. The fourth rule is about the present tense. And what happens? The haraka that usually goes on the second root letter is transferred to the first root letter. Okay, so suppose in Daraba family, for the present tense is yad, ribu, right? Yadribu. So this kasra, which is coming on the second root letter, ya is the symbol of mudare. Actually, the dod here is the first letter, ra second letter, and ba is the third letter. So the haraka, the haraka that is there in the second letter moves to the first letter. So in Muda'af word, it would be suppose dalla yadillu, dalla, in which dod, lam, and lam is there. Right. So if you put symbol of mudare, and it comes through darababab. So dalla, if you follow the same pattern, yad li lu, dalla yad li lu. But what happens according to the fourth rule, this kasra is transferred to the first letter. So it becomes yadillu. Yadillu. Okay. This kasra goes back to the first letter and this sukun comes here. So yadillu. It becomes yadillu. Instead of yadillu, it becomes yadillu. So dalla yadillu. Okay. So these are the four rules that govern sarf of muda'af words when they come through Sulasi Mujarrad. Two of these rules are the same as you learn in mazid fihi families also. Only the past tense rule, in which all past tense siga come as falla, past tense active, fele madi ma'loom. They come as falla, and in mudare the haraka moves from second letter to the first root letter. So far, so good. So these are the four rules. Let's see how they are applied on different families. Okay. So here is the is an example of a muda'af word which comes from Daraba family. Daraba subclan or the Daraba family. So the root letters are a, the, ain, za, za. So on the pattern of falla, it becomes azza, azza, falla, azza. So if it was a regular word, it would be adada, right? Adada. But because it's muda'af and there is a fusion, according to first rule, there most of the sigat, most of the word form, they have fusion, second and third root letter fusion. So because the fusion has to occur, it becomes azza. Instead of original azaza, it becomes azza. Then present tense, ya'izu. So if it was daraba, it's coming from daraba. So the original form would be ya'zizu, ya'zizu. Sukun on ain, sukun on ain, and first za kasra and the second za dhamma. But instead of ya'zizu, it becomes ya'izu. Okay. So again, there is shadda. Then the masdar in Sulasi Mujarrad, masdar comes on different patterns. Over here, we can see that again there is a fusion in masdar form also. Then ism fa'il, you know, in first family one, Sulasi Mujarrad. In Sulasi Mujarrad, ism fa'il comes on the pattern of fa'ilun, right? So it should have been azizun, azizun. But instead of azizun, it is azun, because there has to be a fusion. So instead of azizun, it is azun. The past passive. Okay, now coming to the second line, sar saghir, second line. So on the past passive comes on the pattern of fu'ila, uziza, uziza. But is just because these words should have fusion because of first rule, so it becomes uzza. Instead of uziza, it becomes uzza. Then on the present passive, fi'l mudari mabni lil majhul, instead of like the pattern is yuf'alu, so it should have been yu'zazu, but it becomes yu'azzu, mudari remains the same. Oh, sorry, not mudari. Masdar remains the same, and mudari, you can see that yu'azzu, instead of yu'zazu, yu'azzu. Then ism maf'ul. Ism maf'ul and Sulasi Mujarrad comes on the same pattern, maf'ulun, on the pattern of maf'ulun. So it is ma'zuzun. So muda'af words, Sulasi Mujarrad, maf'ul comes naturally. Okay. Muda'af words coming through Sulasi Mujarrad families, the ism maf'ul is just like a regular word. So maf'ulun, ma'zuzun, no fusion in ism maf'ul. Let me color it differently. So here there is no fusion. Okay. Now coming back to the the second rule, in which there are three versions of commanding and forbidding. So you can see commanding anta form, anta version, three forms. Is izza, izzi, izis, or you can say anta form, three versions. Izza, izzi, izis. Izza, one with fatha. Izzi, one with kasra and shadda. The third one without any shadda, no fusion. The two letters are separate. Aziz. The same way, three forms of forbidding. La ta'izza, la ta'izzi, la ta'aziz. Okay. Now, in family one, the ism zarf. Ism zarf comes on maf'alun, maf'ilun, and maf'alatun, on the pattern of maf'alun, maf'ilun, maf'alatun. So this is ma'azzun, ma'izzun, ma'azzatun. Okay. So this is the pattern of ism zarf in Sulasi Mujarrad. Maf'alun, maf'ilun, maf'alatun. So ma'azzun, ma'izzun, ma'azzatun. The same way, ism ala. Ism ala is another form of word which comes in Sulasi Mujarrad families. So, and the pattern ism ala follows is mif'alun, mif'alun, mif'alatun. Mif'alun, mif'alun, mif'alatun. So this is mif'alun on the pattern of mif'alun, mi'azzun, mif'alun, mi'azzun, mif'alun, mi'zazun, mi'zazun, and mif'alun, mif'alun, mif'alatun. So this is mi'azzatun. Okay. Now, the next one, if you have any question, you can ask me. Over here, the transfer of harka is also happening in ism zarf and ism ala. Mif'alun. So instead of sukun over here, the harka on the second letter is transferred to the first letter. Okay, the same thing that was happening in present tense, over here, the same thing is also happening in all these ism zarf and ism ala. Okay. Now, for further examples, let's go to the dream textbook. Okay. So this is your textbook, dream textbook, and the page is 215, and we are learning Muda'af and Mujarrad families. Okay. And the unit is 7.3. We just learned these rules, and what we were doing, we just did this example. Okay. Now the next one, which is from which subclan? From Nasara. Okay. So again, the past tense is coming on the pattern of falla, shakka. Okay. Instead of shakaka, it is shakka because there is fusion. Okay. Instead of yashkuku, yansuru, yashkuku, it is yashukku because there has to be a fusion because it's a muda'af word. Okay. So instead of yashkuku, it is yashukku. Then in masdar, even in masdar, there is fusion. Okay. Then fa'ilun, instead of shakikun, it is shakun, again fusion. So the first rule that says most of the word form are with fusion. So present tense active, past tense active, present tense active, masdar, and then ism fa'il all have shadda, which means there is fusion. And then the next line, fu'ila, on the pattern of fu'ila, originally it could have been shukika, but there has to be fusion over there. So instead of shukika, it becomes shukka. And on the pattern of yufalu, yushkaku, instead of yushkaku, it becomes yushakku. Then the same masdar. And then in ism maf'ul, as we saw in the previous example, it is coming as a regular word. On the pattern of maf'ulun, mashkukun. So there is a split over here. There's no shadda, there's no fusion. So one form that we just saw in muda'af words coming from Sulasi Mujarrad is ism maf'ul, in which there is no fusion. There's a split. Okay. Then the three forms of sorry, I should have used the red one. So three forms of commanding, the second rule, and three forms of forbidding in anta form. Three versions of commanding and forbidding in anta form. And then here you can see ism maf'ul is without a split, without fusion, and there it means there is a split over here. And in the third version of commanding and forbidding also there is a split. Okay. And then coming back to the ism zarf, maf'alun, maf'ilun, maf'alatun, mashakkun, mashikun, mashakkatun. Okay. Ism zarf. Ism ala, mishakkun, mishkakun, mishakkatun. Okay. So in ism ala, there is a split also in the on the which comes on pattern of mif'alun, mishkakun. Okay. So that's how we can see and we can apply the rules over here. Okay. First rule, most of the word forms have fusion here, 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 in past tense, passive, past tense, present tense, passive, two versions of commanding, two versions of forbidding, then all three versions of ism zarf, and then all two versions of ism ala. So all these forms have fusion. The first rule, most of the verb forms have fusion. The second rule you learned was about commanding and forbidding. You just saw three versions of commanding and forbidding in anta form. And the third rule was about past tense, falla. Okay, falla, shakka. Fourth rule was about present tense. Fourth rule was about present tense, where this haraka on second root letter is transferred to the first root letter. Let me show it how. It nasara yansuru. So ya, then the first root letter yash, ku, yash, ku. So the rule says the haraka on second root letter is transferred to first root letter. Okay, so it becomes, instead of sukun, it becomes dhamma, and this one becomes sukun. So yashukku. So that's how the yashkuku becomes yashukku, because of the transfer of the harakat. Okay. Okay, so we just see how these rules manifest in sarf saghir of muda'af words when it comes from nasara clan. Okay, now moving on to the fatha clan. And fatha clan, you can see massa, yamassu. So both fatha, massa, yamassu. Okay, so massa on the pattern of falla, yamassu, the haraka has been transferred to the first letter. Instead of yamsasu, it is yamassu. Okay, then mazar, masan, then masun, instead of maasisun, masun, then in past tense passive, musisa, instead of musisa, it is mussa. Yumsasu, instead of yumsasu, it is yumassu. Then masan. Then again, this is maf'ul is on the regular pattern, maf'ulun, mamsusun. And then the three versions of commanding fail from anta form, three versions of forbidding from anta form, then three pattern of ism zarf and ism ala. Maf'alun, maf'ilun, maf'alatun, mamassun, mamissun, mamassatun. Mif'alun, mif'alun, mif'alatun. Mif'alun, mif'alun, mif'alatun. Okay. Again, you can see there are four instances in sarf saghir where there is splitting, or the fusion is not there. Ism maf'ul, the third version of commanding, third version of forbidding, and one form of ism ala. Okay. So far, so good. Okay. Now let's move on to the next clan, which is samia. And in samia, so this is interesting. Samia, in samia past tense, it should have been the, li, la, because in samia the past tense has kasra on the second letter, samia, the, lila. But because the third rule says that all past tense are all past tense siga come on the pattern of falla, so it is the law. Okay, the law with a shadda. Then yadallu, samia yasmau, dhalla yazallu. Then over here in this particular example, in this particular root letter, the masdar which is coming, it has its split. You know that in family one, the masdar comes on different patterns, a number of patterns. So for every word, there is a different pattern on which the masdar comes. Okay, so over here there is a split. Okay, in masdar, in this particular word, not because it is coming from samia, but on this particular word, for this particular word. Okay, then ism fa'il, there is a shadda. There is a shadda, dhalun, instead of dhalilun, dhalun. Then zulila becomes zalla with a shadda. Yuzlalu becomes yuzallu with a shadda. And Again, the ism maf'ul has split, no fusion. Maf'ulun, madlulun. The same way in the third version of commanding, split, idlal. Third version of forbidding, la tazlal. Okay, and the third version of ism ala, midlalun, splitting, no fusion. Okay, so that's how you can see the application of different rules. First rule, what was the first rule? First rule is shadda, having shadda here, here, and here in Fele Amr, first two versions, Fele Nahi, first two versions, then all three versions of Ism Zarf, two versions of Ism Ala. Okay, all these word forms have shadda. And then the second rule, three versions of commanding and three versions of forbidding for anta form. And then third rule, the all past tense, irrespective of the clan, comes on the pattern of falla. So it is the law. Okay. And then the fourth pattern, the harka on the second letter is transferred to the first letter. So it becomes yazallu. Okay. Yazlalu instead of yazlalu, it becomes yazallu. Okay. So this is the example from Samia clan. Okay, so far what we did was Sarf Saghir, and we first learned the 4 rules and applied those rules on different clans. Now we are going to study the Sarf Kabir. What happens to the Sarf Kabir? As the same Sarf Kabir rules that apply to the Mazid Fihi family apply to the Mujrad family. So just like you learned Mazid Fihi family Sarf Kabir, the same rules apply to the Mujrad families also. So there are only two rules for Sarf Kabir. In past tense, the Shadda is undone at the Hunna version onwards, right? So there is a split that occurs on Hunna version in past tense, Hunna version, and the split is carried down for all sigas in past tense. But in Mudare, the Shadda is undone only for Hunna and Antun. Okay, Shadda is not there, or there is a split on Hunna and Antunna only in Mudare form. Okay, so here is the thing you can see over here. Oh, at Hunna version, there is a split, and then the split it remains the same in all other sigas. So huwa shakka, huma shakka, hum shakku, hiya shakkat, huma shakkata, hunna shakakna, anta shakakta, antuma shakaktuma, antum shakaktum, anti shakakti, antuma shakaktuma, antunna shakaktunna, ana shakaktu, nahnu shakakna. Okay. So this is how the past tense Sarf Kabir happens. And in present tense, you can see the only on hunna and antunna, there is a split. Yashkukna, tashkukna. Okay. So let me clear this. So this is the Sarf Kabir of past tense and present tense. The same happens with past tense passive. Shukikna, and the same thing happened over here. The split occurs at hunna in past and passive, and it remains in all 6 siga of mukhatib and then mutakallim. Mukhatib, the person someone is addressing, and mutakallim is the one who is talking. So ana and nahnu are mutakallim siga. And then yeah, Mudari Majhul, the present passive is also the same rule applies. The split occurs at hunna and antunna. Okay. Now, one more thing, we just in Sarf Saghir we specifically learned about Ism Zarf and Ism Ala. So there are there are number of words produces in Mujarrad Sarf that are not recited in the Sarf Saghir. So in Sarf Saghir there are some words like Ism Tafdil is not there, and other words. But over here, Ism only one the only one that behaves differently in Muda'af is the Ism Tafdil. Okay, so Ism Tafdil, af'alu, which Ism Tafdil comes on the pattern of af'alu. So over here in Muda'af, what happens? Instead of af'alu, it becomes afallu, because ayn and lam kalma are the same. Okay, so just like what happens in present tense, the second root letter, let me write it down. Af'alu, because both are ayn and lam kalma are both, like you can say lam kalma. Okay, so this harkat they transfer to the first letter and it becomes a fa fallu afallu afallu ahaqqu. Okay, ahaqqu. So ism tabdil comes on the pattern of ahaqqu. All words they come on the pattern of ahaqqu. Now this thing I told you in the previous lesson also that three forms of forbidding and commanding occur in anta version only. Why? Because anta has dhamma at the end. So those words that have dhamma on the end in present tense, they when you make the lightest form, the majzoom form, they have three versions of majzoom form. Even if when they are coming after lam lamma in lam lamma wal falli, these harf, after these harf and they are in the lightest majzoom form. So these siga like huwa, hiya, anta, ana, and nahnu, these sigat would have three versions of their lightest form. In mansub form, they would take fatha. When they, if you are you want to make it mansub or light, you just put fatha on it. And there are only one form of mansub form, one mansub form. Okay, one light form. But in lightest, they have three versions. Okay. And the rest of the group where in which this noon is there, this noon is there when it is regular, and you remove the noon when it is light or lightest. So these sigat they have only one light or lightest form. The noon one, the one, the group which is known as noon comes, noon goes. Okay, or in Arabic you can say af'alul khamsa, af'alul khamsa. Okay, so you remove the noon, it becomes light or lightest. Okay. Now we just we just covered this thing. To make light, if dhamma is there, you turn it into fatha. If noon is there, then you remove the noon to make the any word muda'af word light. But this hunna and antunna remain the same because these are mabniyan. Okay. And to make the lightest, the words that have dhamma at the end, they have three versions, three lightest version. Okay. But if the present tense has a noon at the end, then you just remove the noon and make it lightest, and there's only one form for that word. Okay. So this is about the Sarf Kabir and Sarf Saghir, Sarf Kabir of Muda'af words from Sulasi Mujarrad. Now this is the summary of Muda'af all over, like in overall Muda'af words. Okay. So what were the overarching rules? Both in Mazid Fihi and Sulasi Mujarrad. You learn that in past tense, there's a split at hunna onwards. So it split occurs at hunna and it remains there onwards till nahnu. Okay. In mudare, present form, split happens at hunna and antunna only. Okay. The majzoom form, which is the lightest form, there are three versions of lightest form of huwa, hiya, anta, ana, and nahnu word forms. Okay, three versions. So one is with shadda, with fatha, along with shadda. Another one is with kasra, along with shadda, and in the third one there is a splitting. Okay. Then these are the overarching rules. Then the family specific rules. Family one. What do you see? Ism file comes on farun, on the pattern of farun, shakun, and ism zarf on the pattern of mafarrun, mafirrun, mafarratun, and ism tafdil come on ahakun or afarrun, pattern of ahakun or afarrun. And then mazid fihi family, these two are together because you know family 3 and family 6, they have extra alif in okay, extra alif, both have extra alif. So what happens in both of these, the ism fa'il, ism maf'ul, and ism zarf in mazid fihi family 3 and 6, family jahada and family ta'awana, these two families, the ism fa'il, ism maf'ul, and ism zarf look the same. Okay. For family 3, ism fa'il is muhajjun, Ism maf'ul and ism zarf are also muhajjun. The same way in family 6. Okay. And in the same in family 3 and family 6, there's another form of word, a pair of form of word in which they look the same. The huwa form of fi'l madi and anta form of amr. Huwa hajja, anta hajja. First version of fi'l amr. Huwa hajja, anta hajja. Huwa tamassa, anta tamassa. So huwa version of past tense and anta version of present tense, first form, in which there is a shadda and the fatha. Okay. Now, in these families, the third and the sixth, the shadda doesn't break in the masdar. Muhajjatun tamassun. Okay. And then the two families are together, the fourth and the 10th. You know, in most of the surf studies, the characteristics of family 4 and 10, they behave like characteristics are more or less the same. So over here, there are no overlapping siga. Ism fa'il is different, which is with a kasra, musirrun, and ism maf'ul and ism zarf, they look the same, just like any other mazid fihi family, because mazid fihi family, the ism zarf comes on the pattern of ism maf'ul. The same happens with family 10. Okay. And then family 7 and 8, they are together. And over here, again, ism maf'ul and ism zarf, they look the same. And ism file also, because over here in 7th and 8th family, ism file has fatha. Munqaddun and ism maf'ul and ism zarf are sorry, in 7th there is no ism maf'ul. Okay, only ism zarf is there. So ism file and ism zarf, they look the same. But in 8th, all three look the same. And 8th family, commanding, again, the huwa form of past tense and anta form of amr, they look the same. Okay, so this is the summary of Muda'af words in both Sulasi Mujarrad and Mazid Fihi families. So that's the end of our studies into Muda'af words. Inshallah, we'll see if we have other topics in surf. Then inshallah, we are going to cover those topics before moving on to the Nahw topics, Nahw portion of the book again. So let me conclude the session with dua. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.